Emma's Universe podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe podcast.
Hello and welcome to Emma's podcast. In today's podcast, we're going to continue to talk about quotes that I've been reading. And Mike, you just heard him. Yes, the boy has spoken. He has agreed. Yay! So let's get started. Oh my goodness gracious, this is hilarious. I like one of them that I'm reading right now is the reality is sometimes you lose and you're never too good to lose. You're never too big to lose. You're never too smart to lose. It happens and it happens when it needs to happen. And you need to embrace those things. Well, yeah, but sometimes we do not appreciate it when we go into those rides of uncertainty and also realizing that the pendulum swing one way and the others, and so are my dogs because my dogs are now making a fuss about everything, and this is not what we want. Lulu MacGyver, stop. It's because Micah is laying down on the bed and it's like Lulu cannot have the last word and he got a little upset about it, but this is what we're dealing with today. So, interestingly enough, when you're looking at the trajectory we take, yes, you always got those great wins that you're happy to be there and happy to celebrate. But there is always the other side of the pendulum, which is, oh my goodness, I think we're going to get one Lulu MacGyver. Oh, now they're laying down and they're playing against each other. So, okay, so if there is noise of the dogs, don't take it personally for the next 20 minutes, half an hour. But let's go back to the topic that I'm talking about right now, which is the lose. And I don't like the word lose. I rather say the life lessons, the setback, because if you see things as losing, then that's a problem. A setback is maybe in a concept of a setback is maybe you apply for a job. You did not lose the position. That position wasn't meant wasn't meant to be for you. It was supposed to be somebody else's. So it's not a lose. It's a door that wasn't meant to be open for you. Now, if you're looking at competitions, a lot of people unfortunately look at competitions because they feel like they're competing against everybody against around the world, which, you know what, if you remove that idea, your biggest competitor is your own self. It's nobody else's than you. So think about that. However, we always feel we have to be in competition with somebody. So let's say you're competing for, I don't know, an award. And you don't get that award because somebody else's had a better idea. Somebody else's performed better than you did for whatever reason it is. Then it's not losing. It's a step back to make you reassess. That did not happen. I did not win because somebody else's was meant to win this. Look where you are. Look what needs to be improved in order to pass. I was watching a while ago. When I say a while ago, it's like 2 years ago. 2 years ago. On Netflix. I was looking at that was Netflix or Hulu. I don't remember. Or Roku, I think. And they had a channel for 24 hours for the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, which is one of the hardest team to get in when you talk about cheerleaders and to the camp. So they had to go to those auditions. And you had girls, even the current cheerleaders, in order to get their spot, had to compete as well. So it's not like, oh, we got a few openings. It's everything is up for grab. But it was very interesting to see that some girls took 2 to 3 to 4 attempts or auditions before they became successful, which is awesome. But they had to work. They had to improve from where they were to where they become. It takes time. So if you're looking at, oh, I did not got, I had to prepare, let's say, an essay on something in order to get into a high level league school, and you're not performing very well and you did not do well for the entry exam, then you sit back and you're like, okay, I'm a loser. Okay, well, if you want to see it this way, you're going to put a stigma on yourself. However, if you rethink and said, okay, where did I lack the number I needed to get in? Where did I fail, quote unquote? Where did I not perform well? I was looking at yesterday, last night, and I'm fascinated by performers. If you're looking at, I can see Gene Kelly, but MJ, Michael Jackson, regardless of what the rest of his story is, he was the one who spent 6 to 8 hours a day in front of a mirror to looking at his move, to perform and perfect his moves. He did not sit down and did nothing. He spent his days to train. Gene Kelly, all of those dancers have done the same thing. They did not become who they became by sitting down and hoping for the best. They work hard at it. Now, if you take that perspective and realize that, okay, I did not succeed at, maybe you apply for a job and you feel like a loser, which you're not, actually. It's not meant to be your position. You have something better coming. Not quite there yet, but it's coming. It's right here. You can feel it. So you need to assert yourself. And I know it's hard sometimes when you do this, to realize that, yes, I can do this. Now, for me, losing is a setback. It's like make you think, what can I do better? And maybe it's not your time. Think about that. It's not everything has to be a win. There is a lesson you're going to learn when you got a setback. Yes, you can victimize yourself. Yes, you can feel like a failure. Yes, you can feel like a loser. Yes, you can feel like you're useless, in which in fact you're not. It's not the right door. It's not the right environment. You need to persevere. You need to see what else can I do. And maybe you need to look at what are the other options. Okay? Not everything is meant to be for you. Now, what I was looking at the rehearsal that the last one before he passed away, a few days before he passed away, or the day before he passed away, you could see that he was rehearsing. And that's what a lot of people do. Like, you're talking of the Madonna, you're talking of the Taylor Swift, you're talking of people who are performers. And even though they know their things, they're going to come the day of the concert, hours before, and rehearse. It's not only the sound check, but it's rehearsing the entire acts they're doing. So for him, it was very nice because he was interrupting everybody. He was apologizing, but he was interrupting because he did not like this. He wanted to make sure everything was in play. And they were restarting the rehearsal and they were continuing to do it. This is the kind of things you have to think about yourself. What am I persevering into? How can I move to the next level? But I have to look at first my life lessons. Yes, I did not get this job because why? Well, maybe it wasn't the right fit. Maybe you're meant to do something different. Maybe you need to look at how you interview as well. because you don't want to sound too cocky, too smart, or you can outsmart anybody else's. It's all about the attitude, about who you are, learning from it. I've learned a lot from my own self. I have learned a lot from my setbacks. I have learned a lot from the challenges I was faced with. I am where I am because I let the universe guide me there as well. I did not interfere and say, I want to do this and this, because whatever I thought, since I don't have the bird's eye view of everything on that chessboard that is our lives, I let the universe, because sometimes he said it's not what you want you're going to get, it's what you need. And your needs are different of your wants. When you don't have the bird's eye view, that means you don't see the full spectrum. You don't see the bigger pictures. The universe does. And sometimes, by looking at what we do and how we behave, we can modify those. Now, when you are faced with a setback, this is where you need to utilize your mind and see a better outcome. An outcome that you got it. You got that job. Not the job you apply for, but the one that is meant to be for you. You can see the windfall of monies, you can see the joy, you can see the happiness, you can see everything. So you have to make sure when you're doing this that you're open to it. If you're not open to it, then you're shooting yourself in the foot. Do you want to shoot yourself in the foot? Not really. I want to learn my life lessons and I want to move on. Sometimes some life lessons, I'm going to be honest with you, are pretty much painful, because I always said, give me the shorter version, and they end up with the longer version. I said, really, people? Do you really think I wanted to go through that hee-haw? No, I did not. I just wanted to do something else. So think about those life lessons, because sometimes we are being punched in the face left and right. And we're asking ourselves, what on earth? Those are life lessons. Those are times when the universe gave us the option to step back, look and said, okay, I did this, I engaged this, and somewhere I thought it would be good, but it's not. I did not saw the red flag, I ignored them, and I went for it. At the end of the day, it did not work because it's not meant to be. Learning to become flexible. Oh boy, flexibility. Oh, I'm flexible. Yeah, you're flexible until it goes your way. But when things are changing and moving, flexibility becomes harder, isn't it? Being able to remind ourselves we're like the water in a river. We're adapting. We're seeing a stone. What do? Do you try to push it, or do you try to adapt? Like the water. I'm going to go over, under, right side, left side. I'm going to go and navigate. One of the hardest things is difficult to control is water. If you put water or pour water in your hands, you will see it will go everywhere. You cannot dictate water. Do the same thing with who you are, with your flexibility. Become flexible. Become open to the changes. Understanding that roadblock, that denial is not a failure. You're not losing. It's not the right way for you. When you change your perspective, change your mind, open yourself up, then you will see changes and miracles happening in your life. So, losing for me is a setback. It's not losing as a loser. It has nothing to do with it. But you embrace it in a way that it's a life lesson. That's something I needed to learn. And people who don't learn will be served the same lesson over and over and over and over. Different situation, different people. You have to learn. Learn to set your boundaries. Learn to make the distinction then, I don't want to be alone, so I'm going to be with somebody who's abusive. Or I'm going to keep the job I have. I'm miserable, but I'm afraid that even though I've outgrown my position, I'm afraid that if I release it, I have nothing to looking forward to it, which is not right. So you have to think about all of this and some more. And it's difficult for people who don't know all of this. It's difficult for people who are afraid of everything. So it is up to us to look at who we truly are. And do you really want to be afraid of it? Do you really want to be where you want to be? Or are you living in denial? In denial of, okay, I'm thinking I'm going to sit on my chair and things going to drop off on my lap. Well, that's a beautiful thinking, but that's not what happens most of the time, isn't it? You need to walk the walk and talk the talk. A lot of people cannot do the walk, but they love to talk. Think about where you are. Think about the journey where you got something that got denial and you felt like a loser where you're not. It was a door that wasn't meant to be open for you. Maybe you realized that you got misled by someone. And it took a while for you to wake up and realize this wasn't a good situation. That can be at work or personally. It doesn't matter. Maybe you wanted to start a business, but it wasn't the right product or service. And you got misled, or you didn't want it to hear people telling you that will not work. And I'm not talking about the people near you. I'm talking people who knows that can help you to get where you need to get. And maybe you refuse to do it. Maybe you set your way on the highway and you end up with nowhere. So look at the position where it's not you are not successful, but you had a setback. And what did you learn? I have learned a lot of things in the past. And I have learned very high lessons where I knew it wasn't the right things to do, but I did it no matter what. And it brought me nowhere. And you come to the conclusion, well, if you have listened what your intuition told you in the first place, you will not have done this. What was your intentions? What are your intentions? What is your intent in that situation? Being able to be honest and really, and that's the brutal part of it. This, I'm not going to say the sad part, but it is where you really see if you're authentic, true to your own self, able and capable to say to yourself, yeah, this is what I did, but my intent wasn't as clean than I thought it would be. I had an intent that wasn't what it was supposed to be. My intent wasn't as positive. I had an undercurrent that I hide it from everybody else's. What looked like my intent wasn't mine. It was just an illusion. And my intent wasn't for the highest good. Neither for myself, neither for anyone else. So what is your intent? What do you want to do in your life that really shows that based on the life lessons I've learned, what can I do to do not repeat them and to continue to be authentic to my own self? Because you can lie to the rest of the world, but if you lie to yourself or in denial, which is another form of lie, then you're not going to go anywhere. But when you embrace who you truly are, with your ache, pains, with the positive and the negative, with what you need to work on, what can you do better for your own self? But you're never a loser. A loser is somebody who decide they're going to be a victim. But we're not victims here. And it doesn't matter how the outer conditions we're in. Like I said in my previous podcast, you can have your house burning like a crisp. You have two options. You can whine, become a victim of circumstances, or you get up the next day and get going, one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, moving forward. Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to be here to save you except your own self. So if you're expecting for the prince on his white horse, well, good luck with that, because some days the prince on his white horse will not be here. You have to be sufficient enough to save your own self. No one can save you. It's like the when we're talking about addiction, and I have people who, who want to save people who have addictions. You can have as much intervention as you want. If the person is not ready to change, they won't. Oh yeah, they can go to rehab, they can go to meetings, but that doesn't mean they're gonna stop. They're only gonna stop when they're willing to make the work in to do it, which is not that easy. Any work we do, even related to addictions or non addictions, you have to be willing to do it. Not everybody wants to do it. So think about past situation where you had to learn a hard life lessons, and how did you handle it, and are you still doing the same pattern or not? Did you switch and stop or not? And if you're still in the same pattern, different people, different situation, what are you going to do to help your own self? So this was our podcast for today. I have no idea what we're going to be talking on the next podcast, but this is going to be very, very, very interesting. So all my love, guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye now.
Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe Podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe Podcast. Emma's Universe Podcast.